Welcome back to another technically challenged Old Bull Young Calf Boston Sports podcast. We are only allowed to have one working clear camera per podcast since the end of the basketball season, and my dad has that tonight. For some reason, my camera's not working. We're still going to touch on everything, Dad. Right? We're still going to have some good conversation around a lot of the teams that we have here. What little there is to talk about, we're going to talk about. Dad, I don't know if you want to give a quick synopsis of what we expect to talk about on this episode, like you almost do back when we were pre-recording?
The old bull finally gets a solution to get a crystal clear camera. And here we go. Young Cav. These young kids with technology. But, obviously it's going to be a much better looking podcast with just me on here. So, at least we have that going for us. And so anyway, we're going to be Patriots heavy today. This is our training camp special. We might touch on the Celtics. There really is nothing with the Bruins. I mean, Swayman, I guess it's just crickets there. So, but there is some buzz about Lysol, which is good. Supposedly he's ranked one of the top prospects now that could break out this year. Maybe we'll talk about that at the end. Celtics, Sam Hauser signed, Summer League, wrapping up. So we might touch on that. Now, but we're going to be mostly on Patriots today. This is going to be our training camp special. Yep. And what we're going to do is we're going to project our 53-man roster live. We're going to tell you who's going to be in, who's going to be out. I got a couple players in mind that I think could surprise and not just make the team, but possibly make an impact as well and actually play. So hopefully the young Cav has something to throw in there with that as well. Brandon Ayuk demanded a trade from the 49ers. This guy's a top 5 wide receiver in the league. Patriots make sense, right? They have all the cap space in the world. They need a wide receiver. Why would that be difficult? Because it just is. And we'll explain to that why. And I have a trade proposal of what I would do, and the young Cap will give you his. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. So
yeah,
Phantom Matt, Ghost Matt starts off.
Yeah. Right. The man behind the YC, the young Calf. We'll see. Right. So here we have a friendly little depth chart here. I don't know how good can you see this, Dad? Can you see this well?
I mean, I got to get the expanded version. How do I do that? I don't know.
But... Well, so the old bull, flip it on its head here. Has a very small laptop screen. So hopefully you can't read these names. Come on. You don't got your reading glasses around. You can't read these names.
I mean, is there a way to expand this? I don't see one. So I'm going to have to do my best, I guess.
Oh my goodness.
So to go full screen, I can't seem to go full screen here.
Okay.
I can see that, I can see.
You can see this right here?
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
All right, cool. So a lot of players on the roster, especially after the draft, they signed a ton of just undrafted players. We'll see. I don't know if they still have that streak where they keep an undrafted player on the roster. Dad, are you aware if that streak is still going?
Yeah, I believe it is. I think they still have it. Yeah, they do.
Do you think it's a red flag when it comes to a lack of changing guard at all if we do it again? I'm hopeful that there's a good player that earns it, but do you think that they just kind of force it to make it so that it doesn't feel like there's too much change from Belichick? I know it's kind of a non sequitur, but any thoughts on it at all?
I'm big at changing the guard, wiping the slate clean. I want nothing to do with the old man Bill Belichick's thinking. I just don't. I appreciate what he did here, but it's just everything has grown stale. But when it comes to this, there's value in it. So this is the time to do it. The Patriots are not going to be good probably. So you know what? If you have to shoehorn an undrafted free agent on this roster to keep that reputation, to keep that streak going, you want to do that because we actually do get top of the line undrafted players here because of that reputation. That's a real thing. So every year, the Patriots have some of the most top guys who just barely missed the draft. They generally sign the training camp for a tryout because they know, well, there's a good chance that I could actually make the team with the Patriots much better than other teams. So if we had a roster ready to contend, I would say, no, don't play around. Get your best 53 in there. Don't mess around with that. But
Yep.
with it being probably another down year, no. Keep that alive. Keep that reputation going because, it has produced.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm imagining that one of these names on here, and I think we'll start with offense. Does that sound fair, Dad?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Offense
Well,
first.
one of these names on here, and usually it's a defensive player. One of these will probably be a real big surprise for all of us. Probably stand out in hopefully preseason. So I think we'll start at the place where there's not too much hope, but it is at the top of the screen. So hopefully, Dad, you can read this. This is a very, very deep body wise wide receiver core, right? We have 4 slot receivers. One we acquired via trade in the KJ Osborne. I think that was trade KJ Osborne. If not, it was a free agent signing. And otherwise, it looks like we have an undrafted free agent in Davis Willis, and then we have 2 draft picks in the outside wide receivers, and then 1 undrafted free agent, undrafted rookie here. So right off the bat, Dad, who are the is going to be there, not even worth touching or talking about?
So it's obviously the 2 draft picks. It's going to be, Polk. It's going to be Baker. It's going to be Osborne, who, again, he was a free agent. People assume Kendrick Bourne, but man, if he doesn't look like the same player coming out of camp, I don't necessarily put him as a lock. And of course, Bam Douglas. Bam Douglas is, as of right now, our best wide receiver. So,
Yep.
To me, I'm taking the two kids, Osborne, Bam Douglas, and I mean,
I think they call him
I
Pop
guess
Douglas. Pop Douglas. Demario.
Pop. Oh
Demario
yeah,
is
I
Pop
call him
Douglas.
Bam Douglas. Yeah, Pop
Yeah,
Douglas.
Bam.
Sorry about that. And I guess I'm gonna have to say Kendrick Bourne. So those are my
Yeah.
5 guys I'm going with. And we'll talk about the trade possibly for
Yeah.
Ayuk, what we would do. So is this a good time for it? Or do you think we should push that off?
Let's finish up any other wide receivers. I mean, is there any
Okay.
surprise wide receivers that you think? So really quickly, I'm just gonna reaffirm that I agree with you. I think those 5 are the guaranteed players. Juju Smith-Schuster is almost guaranteed simply because the finances of it. So if we cut him next year before June 1st, I think we save $7.5 million. If we cut him this year, I think there's pretty much no savings. There's 600,000 in savings. It's 9.6 million in dead cap. I don't know how that's spread out over the years, but Juju Smith-Schuster is sadly, I think, going to be definitely on this roster. Do you agree with that, Dad? Adding him one more for just the finances of it?
So explain that to me now. If we save 7, so does that mean if we cut him now, we lose 7 million in cap space this year and next year?
That's a great question. We'll have to double check that. What does that dead money mean? How is it spread out over the years? What's up, Jeff? Jeff, we are
There
in the
he is.
dog days. We are in the dog days of the content, and the lack of content in the Bruins and the Celtics has kind of forced our hand in talking about the Patriots training camp that's coming up on Tuesday. I know you're a Lions fan, so this probably doesn't fit your bill. We are going to talk briefly at the end about a couple things around the Bruins. If you want to stick around, I will send you the link and you can join us. But for now, I'd imagine you probably don't want to be on here for some depth chart talk. If you let me know if you're down to hang on for 20, 30 minutes while we talk about this and then join us for the Celtic stuff. We'll keep rolling forward. But it is good to see you, Jeff. Happy Sunday, man. Happy Sunday. Yeah, I'll have to double check.
So if we have to eat 7 million in cap space this year or next year, this is the year to do it. So whatever it takes to get that guy, take that bum out of here. I don't want anything to do with him. I guess if we cut him now, we're going to lose 7 million cap space this year, 7 million next year in cap space. I just don't want him on the team. I want him gone regardless. If there is a way to save some cap space that doesn't involve keeping him on the team, then I would go with that. But nope. They have so much cap space. Who damn cares? They got $45 million in cap space that they're not using, which is just blows my mind to this day. So no, get
So
him
this
out
is
of
what would
here.
happen.
Sorry.
So if we cut him right now, it would leave 9.6 million in dead cap this year in 2024, and it would be 2.6 million dead cap next year. It would free up $1 million in cap space next season. So
Okay.
I think there's just a very low chance. I think Kraft eats that money. I don't think he wants to pay a guy $10 million to sit on the couch somewhere. So he's going to be on the roster. Jalen Reagor, Keyshawn Boot, I heard they dropped the charges against this kid for his gambling stuff. So I don't know if he'll be back on. Our wide receiver room is in shambles. I think we at least carry these 6 right here. I don't know if KJ Osborne, I think he might have returned kicks for Minnesota. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know if he takes Jalen Reagor's spot, and I doubt we carry 7 with Tyquan Thornton. No Matt Slater on here. That's always
weird.
new to see. Yeah.
Yeah. And, Booty has some potential. I just rather have him than Mitch-Schuster. I mean, I'm sorry, Kraft. You're cheap as it is. You have $45 million in cap space. I know you have something to do with that. Okay. That's not just Elliott Wolf. I'm sorry. You do. And, don't burn a guy because of it. There's no future with Juju. So if I'm running this ship, I pick those 5 guys. But yeah, Booty, Thornton, I don't see the value there. So I'm just going to stick with those 5 guys.
Let's move on into the trenches, right? I mean, we have our linemen. I think this is probably our most important group outside of quarterback. And I think a lot of the quarterback play stems from how these guys play. We got David Andrews. I think he's, of course, a lock. Owenu, they signed him to that big contract. He's a lock. I'm trying to think. Of course, our rookies, Layden Robinson and Caden Wallace. Anything else that you've heard? I mean, Sal, I think, started to play a lot of minutes. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of snaps last year.
He's actually projected to be a pretty dominant run blocker. And he has to work on his pass blocking a little bit. He showed improvement of that a little bit towards the end of the year. He's definitely in. He's definitely a starter. So those Cole Strange, I mean, he might come back at the end of the year. I'd like to know what it takes to get rid of that bum, because what a disaster he's been. But 77, he's their left tackle right now. So put him in there, that's for sure.
Yep.
There's no mistake in that.
Oh, that's the Pittsburgh guy. Yeah, he got him from Pittsburgh.
Yep. Absolutely. So Cole Strange, you don't even count him because he's going right on the pup list. He's not even going to count as a roster spot. So take him off. And so then it comes down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my guys is Tyrone Wheatley.
Tyrone Wheatley. Yeah, I was hovering. Yep.
And
they got Mafi in here. The Viridian Low kid. The Low kid was getting torn apart last year.
Yeah, he was.
Calvin Anderson as well. He's in there.
So put him in there only because
Calvin.
Put Calvin. Here's the deal, people. I mean, talk about botching this position so horrifically. The problem with having terrible tackles is it's way worse than having terrible interior linemen. Because here's why. If the Patriots had lousy guards and centers, of course, your quarterback's going to get rushed quickly up the middle. And he's barely going to have time to get the ball off because the pressure's going to be right in his face. But the point is, at least he can see it.
Yeah.
So he could just go down, live to fight another day. Okay? Protection breaks down, and it's gangbusters to the quarterback. At least the quarterback sees it and can throw it away or just hit the sack, hit the ground, and, avoid injury. When your tackles are this bad on paper and possibly that bad on the field, like Verdanian Low was last year, That's how you get your quarterback killed, because those are the quarterback's blind side.
Yep.
It's not just the left side who's the blind side. The right side is too, because if the quarterback's looking to the left side of the field and the right tackle whiffs on his block, that's his blind side now also. Okay? You can't
Yeah.
see that.
You
So
know,
it's very simple.
I'm
Go ahead, Matt.
curious. You know, we're going to have a new offensive coordinator who's going to scheme, I think, with the young QB and the kind of patchwork offensive line in mind. And
Mhm.
I don't know if we have a new lineman coach. I probably should look that up. If we
We
went
do.
through we do. Okay,
He's
so
supposed to be
it's a
pretty
changing
good.
of guard.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah.
see. He's definitely not going to be Skarnecchia. I'm trying to find my mouse here. Okay, here we
He
are.
was
So I think
under, I can't remember the name, but he was under one of the greatest offensive line coaches ever.
yeah.
So
All right.
that's pretty good.
Well, for tight ends, Hunter Henry, of course, he's staying. Austin Hooper, I think he's another one who would be staying. And then our rookie, Heem Bell. Anybody else, Dad, or any conversation you want to have around these tight ends?
Well, are you doing your 53-man roster too? Are you putting him
I
in
mean, I'm
there?
doing it
Or are we
with
just
you.
doing...
So far we haven't strayed, I think, from
Well, highlight Juju McSchuster in red, because that was your
you
pick.
got it.
That's not my
You
pick.
got it.
So put him in red, so that way we know. Yeah,
Yep.
like that. That is
Let's
any
see.
guys that are different, we'll put in red for you, and find another color for me. Find blue for me.
All
So
righty.
Calvin Anderson was a guy who was supposed to help last year. Going back to tackle real quick, he had a bizarre illness or something that kept him out all year.
Yeah.
They spent real money on that dude, like $5 million, which is a lot in actual $5 million real dollars. So, they're hoping to get something out of him. And, but otherwise, like you said, Matt, those rookies, I mean, they're making the team because those picks were too high. So,
Yep.
so
No
are
doubt.
you on board with the offensive line? Do you have any other
I am
changes you
completely
would
on
make?
board. Completely on board.
Okay.
I mean, I'm hoping the Caden Wallace and Layden Robinson. I don't know even where they slot in. I think a lot of their draft analysis was like, this guy is too big or too small for this role, and he was playing it. And I'm curious how they slide them into maybe the place they should have been playing in college or not. You know, so
Yeah.
we'll see what
Yeah.
they do. Um, any comments on the tight end position, Dad? I kind of just highlighted these three. I think it's the more
Yeah.
open and shut group.
So here's the thing with this. It's not necessarily. Now, if Bell flashes in camp and in the preseason games, he'll be in. But if he doesn't, because he's such a late round pick, a 6th or 7th round pick,
Yeah, it's
he
true.
is a
Might be
guy that
practice
will
squad.
he might be a guy that can. So really, that roster spot is predicated on if he flashes in these preseason games and flashes in camp. So
Yep.
the Petway guy, from what I understand, he's a run blocking specialist. He's a blocking specialist. So I don't want him on the team, but I think he's probably going to make the team. So I would go with Hooper, Henry, and Petway. I
Okay.
hope I'm wrong here, because if I'm wrong, it means Hooper or Petway are out and Bell is in. Like one of those two are out and Bell is in, and that would be a good sign because we need some young talent at tight end. Hunter Henry's pretty good. He's a solid starter, but he's getting up there in age. So is Austin Hooper, and we need some young blood in there. So
Yeah, I think
that's
you make a great point about Bell. I'm probably hyping him up. I'm falling in the
I am
trap
too. I
of
like him.
I'm falling in the trap of what's being reported out of camp, and I'm put a red line under him because if I get enough spots at the end, I will go back and highlight him as someone being added to the roster.
There you go.
The quarterback position. So this is, I think, gonna break some people's hearts. But of course, Jacoby Brissett, he'll be in there. Drake May will be in there, and I think this Joe Milton kid, I think he can slip to the practice squad, and I
There's a
think
chance.
Zappy also. I think Zappy also has a chance to slip to the practice squad. I don't know. I don't know if we carry three quarterbacks. If we do carry three, I think Milton is the guy that we hold on the roster because Zappy has proved to us he will clear waivers. Right? Last
Yeah,
year he
it
cleared
happened
waivers at
last year.
least once. Um, so I don't see anyone hunting Zappy, and he really did nothing after that moment to prove that he was an NFL caliber quarterback. So I'm gonna say for now we carry two quarterbacks, and similar to Bell, I'll come back if if I got an extra spot. What are your thoughts, Dad?
Yeah, it's a great point. As soon as you mentioned Zappy, I'm like, wait, that's right, he would, because they cut him. He was like a flat out free agent, and nobody wanted that bum. So I definitely didn't have him on my team to begin with. Milton, again, he was a sixth or seventh round pick, so he is a guy that could slip through. Really, again, it feels like I'm bailing
Yeah.
myself out here, but a lot of it depends on Drake May. Now, if Drake May looks like he is really close to starting, in other words, as good as Jacoby Brissett, like right out of the gate, or even better, I think that I think that Zappy, Milton, they're definitely probably going to be out. Where I mean, they
Yeah.
might take now if Zappy, let's say that Drake May doesn't look anywhere close to ready yet. I think Zappy actually probably makes the team. Because if Brissett gets injured and they know that Drake May's just not ready yet, they're going to need a punching bag. And I don't think they
Yes,
want to put
exactly.
Joe Milton in. You do not want to put like the 6 or 7 round draft pick in ahead of our 3rd overall guy. That's just a terrible look. You can't do
Yep.
that. So that is Zappy's way to get in. He
Yeah.
doesn't have to be better than Drake May. He needs Drake May to suck. That's my opinion.
And honestly, I don't even know if he needs Drake May to suck too bad. He might need Jacoby to get hurt and the offensive line to suck, because
That's true
then
too. Yep.
they might just say we don't want to put Drake behind this thing, and I wouldn't blame them. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, 22 minutes in, Dad. Let's, I think, move on to the running backs. Ramondre, he's
Yep.
of course staying. Antonio Gibson, I'm super excited about this guy. I think he had a case of the drops in Washington, or I don't know if it was the opposite. He didn't have the case. He was like very sure-handed, but I'm very
Yeah.
excited for him because he popped off the screen. We did some highlights on him, and he was similar to Jaden Daniels. It seemed like he was just on another level of speed compared to anybody else in the field. And then, Kevin Harris. I don't know this Jermichael Hasty guy. I got to look him up. Those are my 3 running backs. Do you agree with those 3, Dad?
Yeah, running back, definitely the starting 2 that you said, the 3rd down back. I mean, I guess Kevin Harris is just so vanilla. That dude is so bland. He just never shows me anything.
Yep.
I mean, but you have to have another guy on there, and so I guess he makes the team. Hopefully we have like not a JJ Taylor. It's not a good comparison because he's always at one of those
Dion Lewis.
teetering guys. A Dion Lewis. Hopefully we have
Yeah.
someone that just pops in training camp, because let me tell you, after the first 2 running backs, it is extremely underwhelming. Extremely
Yeah.
underwhelming.
And
So
I'll add this. He was on the practice squad, I think, like 4 times last year. So he honestly would be probably a great candidate to take the practice squad spot. I don't know if I'm going to keep him on mine. I understand it's only 2 running backs I'm saying they're going to bring through, but I kind of want to see what we have on the defensive end before I give any more spots to the running back spot. What do you think?
yeah, I mean, but to me, I have to put Kevin Harrison. I just have to.
All right.
I mean,
All right. My
you
dad
can't
loves
have 2
Kevin
running
Harris.
backs. Yeah,
There you go.
you
Well,
can't
that's
have 2 running backs. That's all
and
there is
that's
to it.
why in my mind, maybe that's Bell. Maybe they put Bell there.
That could be 2. He does have
All
a
right.
little experience with that. He is listed as a fullback in some ways.
So, alrighty, I'm gonna minimize. I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna bring back up just my dad and I here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and take a screenshot of the defense side of the ball. One moment. This one is gonna be interesting. Defense.
Mm-hmm. Look how sharp I look. Look at that.
I know this is awesome.
Yo, Bull crushing the technology.
You have like
From
probably
a
a massive
studio.
a massive tripping hazard like in your house right now.
There is. There's a 75-foot cord going from one end of this house to the other because it's a huge house. Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. What am I? Actually, I'm sharing the wrong thing. Sorry. Share window. There we go. Okay.
And I get a surprise guy. Do you have any surprise guys, Matt, because one of them was on the offensive end.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go back and look at it.
Well, we don't have to,
Yeah.
but
So real quick, right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have about 20 spots locked up, what we believe are sure things. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. Because how many can we have? 52?
53-man roster.
53 man. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty interesting. So how about this? You take the lead on the defensive end, Dad. Who do you feel like is a lock for this defensive end position?
Well, it's just natural to go with the defensive line, right? So, obviously Keon White, potential breakout player. Unfortunately, Devin Gachow. I like Devin Gachow at a reasonable price. He's been overpaid forever, and now he's crying for more money. That freaking fat stiff. I can't stand that crap. Like, dude, you got overpaid last year. You would have talked to the NFL for a couple of days because they're like, what? What did they just sign up? And now he's crying again this year. Give me a damn
Yep.
break with that. Christian Barmore, right now, our poor man, oh God,
Aaron Donald.
who's the guy from the Rams? Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Absolute force in the last 2 months of the season last year. Matt Judon, really good player. Hopefully he's fresh. He had almost a whole year off last year. I wouldn't mind trading that guy for a high draft pick, because he just doesn't fit our window with a young core. But,
Completely agree.
hey, if we got him, keep him, unless I don't want to give him away for nothing. It's not like we need to get rid of him to create cap space to get an offensive guy in here. We can't
100%.
because
We don't. If anything, we might need him to stay above the floor.
Yeah, exactly. So we got plenty of damn cap space. So those 4 guys definitely in. Daniel Aquale, they just like him, and he is a good pass rushing specialist. So keep him in there. Dietrich Wise, again, so average, but every year he makes a team. He makes just enough solid plays here and there to stay on the damn field. So he's going to be in as well. Anthony Jennings, they just signed him to a contract. He's obviously staying. Put him in there.
And Uche definitely. They got him on a deal too.
Definitely. They got him on a super deal. I would have loved to have gotten him for 3 years at that number he signed for. It was like next to nothing. So, but I think he's on a prove it deal. That's why he took such low money. See if he can put up double-digit sacks and then cash in next year. And I'm going to put that Farms guy on there because he's a legit defensive tackle, and they don't have any run stuff in defensive tackles besides Gachow. So
you mean the Armand Watts, the farm? What do you mean Farms?
No,
this guy Farms, Jeremiah
Yes.
Farms. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yep. So he's a legitimate run stuff in defensive tackle, and he might squeak on this roster just because of numbers, because they just don't have those guys. Christian Barmore, he's an elite pass rushing defensive tackle now. He's a disruptor. He was better at the run stuffing a little bit, but he still gets out of position because of his, he's got really good pass moves for a big guy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
On must have it rundowns where we know the other team's running, he's not necessarily a guy we want in there. So a guy like Farms would be ideal next to Gachow.
Yeah, and I think this is where we're stacking up the roster spots now. I think this is 29 right now that you and I both firmly agreed on. The line, and this is kind of where we'll probably see that undrafted free agent come through. Maybe this Russell Jotham or Morgan the third comes through, and we can what's it called? Keep that streak alive. We'll see. I guess. Anything else on the offense? I mean, on the defensive line, Dad, you want to touch on?
No, don't think so. I think we're good there. I like my picks.
All right. So I completely agree. And then we got Joe. So I'll do the linebacking core. So Jawan Bentley, and you could stop me, Dad, if you want me to put a red line under anything that you feel like I'm either keeping on that you wouldn't keep on. Jelani Tavai, super odd that. I think he was voted the most underrated player on the Patriots, and then we signed him to like a big contract. I think either a couple days later or not, but we kind of paid him there. Jonathan Jones, I mean, he was a big what if. I think.
Oh no, we can't go. We're on linebackers still.
Oh yeah,
Jonathan Jones.
What am I doing? My bad.
That's okay.
So
that's all right.
Raekwon McMillan, he'll probably be on the team as well.
Not me. Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Not you. All right.
He's been injured like 3 years in a row. He can't even make it on the field. I don't think he makes his team. Yeah, but the guy above him, he's like a legit free agent signing. So he's a guy I'm hoping
Oh yeah. Yeah.
could
You're right. From
force
Cleveland.
his way on the field. I'd rather have this guy than Bentley. I'm sorry, Bentley is just too old school. The guy cannot cover. Running backs or tight ends to save his life. Is he a good run stopper? Absolutely. Yep. That running back runs between the tackles. Bentley's probably going to find him and get him down within a reasonable, distance. Like
Yep.
maybe he only gets a yard or two. Great. But that's not today's NFL. That stuff doesn't happen often. If I had my way, that guy, Tatuki, whatever his name, Tatuki, he would be our starting middle linebacker.
Yep.
He actually has speed. He's not too bad. Cleveland didn't want to let him go. So he's definitely making the team. That's for sure. Whether he could make as big of a splash as I would like, I don't know about that. We'll have to see.
Yeah. I mean, and this is, I think, where our team is one of the more boring, at least on the defensive side, is this linebacking core. We have an amazing secondary, and we have that. I think we're like the king of the stupids when it comes to the defensive line. We have really good talent there. We don't have that superstar talent like that Chris Jones or the Bosa brothers, but we still have like special players there. But this linebacking core, kind of like our offensive line, has just sort of a hodgepodge group of guys. Nobody that really ever pops off the screen.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I put a red
underwhelming.
line under. Yeah, I put a line under McMillan. I don't know. I feel like similar to the fact that we still have so many Belichick guys, I don't think we get rid of him just for like the sake of special teams and just putting a body out there. I know, like you said, he got injured a ton, but yeah. We'll see how that
goes. You could be right. He's not on my roster. That's all.
Yeah. All right. So we got cornerbacks. Do you want to do the cornerback stat or just do the whole secondary? And then I'll stop you similarly if there's anything I don't think we should keep. All right, go ahead.
Jonathan Jones is definitely in.
All righty.
Alex Austin, I feel like he's going to be in.
Oh, yeah.
And Christian Gonzalez.
Lock.
Yep. Marcus Jones. And I think it's going to come down to Sean Wade or Isaiah Bolden. And Sean Wade, man, he's had his chance here forever. And I think it's going to be Bolden.
Listen, I honestly don't know if Sean Wade exists. No matter how bad our defensive backfield struggles got last year with Jonathan Jones struggling with injuries, Christian Gonzalez going out, we could never find a spot for Sean Wade. Sean Wade was always a healthy scratch. So super weird player there. He's like a ghost. So yeah,
and this is a shame. This is the position that pisses me off so much. Only after wide receiver, as far as free agency goes, with us having $45 million currently in cap space. Wide receiver was the number one. How Calvin Ridley is not on this team just absolutely infuriates me. But cornerback was number two. There were a lot of really good, not necessarily lockdown corners, but number one corners. We have Christian Gonzalez, who showed he is going to be a lockdown corner. Is he going to be a lockdown corner this year? I don't know. But he's going to be a number one corner. We could have had, in free agency, another really good number one corner opposite of him for 10, 12 million a year. Oh, no. We'd be down to 33 million in cap space. Can't have that. But no, and there were plenty of those guys in free agency, and we just took a pass on all of them. It's really a shame. So now we're counting on an aged and often injured Jonathan Jones to be the other cornerback. And, Marcus Jones was injured last year. He, shows at times he could be a good little slot corner. But, man, this should not be a weakness on this team. And it's not at the top. We get some heavy talent at the top. But the other corner is responsible for guarding the other half of the field, that other sideline. And if that is a weak link, the whole chain snaps because the quarterback and the wide receiver will just target that guy all day. So one of the more
it doesn't matter how
things
good
in my mind.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good Gonzalez is if he doesn't have somebody on the other side that's just getting eaten apart.
Big
Completely
time.
agree. And again, it just goes like you said to the lack of spending. I don't know what Kraft. I do appreciate the fact that he didn't make us spend any money on the stadium as fans, as taxpayers. But man, is he looking super cheap with this the past couple free agencies.
No.
Yeah, I don't
And
have
Jeff
any.
Unknown.
Yeah.
Jeff Unknown's apparently a big Bolden fan because he jumped
Yeah,
right out
that's
there.
our major trade chip with the Detroit Lions. So I'm super.
Mhm.
We got to keep that guy. I can't get rid of him. So yeah, I guess I'll do the safeties. So we have Kyle Duggar, big contract,
Mhm.
just got signed to. I don't know what that was all about. I would have loved the franchise tag. Who do we want to franchise? Who am I blinking that we lost or something? Or just not
It was
franchise
going
him?
to be on Duggar. It was on Duggar.
Yeah,
And then we ended up
and
just
then
re-signing him, overpaying him,
yeah.
basically. Yep.
Yeah, we had issues with our corners last year in Detroit. Our biggest weakness. Listen, you give us Armand St. Brown, and we'll give you Jonathan Jones and Kyle Duggar. How about that?
And
I would
Bolden.
love,
We'll give you
yeah,
Bolden.
and Bolden. You know what? And I'll buy you personally a Lions jersey if you give us Armand St. Brown. That kid is sick. I want a wide receiver
Yeah,
like that so bad. Um,
that'd be nice.
Peppers, he's really been like almost one of my favorite players since he joined
Oh, he's
here.
so good. He's better than Duggar. I think he's better than Duggar.
Yeah,
I guess that might be a hot take. I'm sorry. I feel like I just notice him more. He's kind of like a little mini wrecking ball out there. He's always in the play. Mapu. Yep, I want him to.
yeah,
He's hopefully he takes a jump this year. We could have the best safety group in the league, but guess what? Safety is one of the most unimportant positions in today's NFL now. It's like
100%.
you need cover corners. That's what you need. It's not that safety has no importance, but it's just not the way it used to be, where you have safeties running around the box, stopping like Mosey Matapa or Reed, like those guys, Rodney Harrison, like running
Yeah,
around the box, stopping the run. You don't need that anymore. You need guys who can cover.
yeah,
And as
yeah.
good as Peppers and Duggar are, they're not good cover guys. They're good safeties that are disruptive, but they're not good cover safeties. So
Yeah, and I think
I
that's one of the big reasons why they what's it called have the weak linebackers is because they like to slide these guys up a lot. They like to have Peppers and
That's
Mapu
true.
play up. So I guess it makes
Yeah.
sense. This is kind of where their playmaking comes in at the in that second level of the defense.
Yeah.
And Josh Bledsoe and Drew Bledsoe, I don't think they're related. I don't
They are
think. I
not
can't.
related.
Don't quote me on it. But I will
I've heard
tell
that
you that
question before.
Josh Bledsoe, I think, probably makes the team. I maybe I'm pushing it here. I have to
That's
count
my
how
other
many.
one because he can play special teams. He knows the
Yeah,
system, and he shows flashes at safety sometimes. So
and I
he actually
think
shows some flashes of being able to cover. So
yeah,
I still think he makes the team. I don't think he cracks the top three. So I don't think he gets a lot of defensive snaps unless there's an injury. But no, he's on the team.
yep. And here's somebody I tried to squeak in is Brendan Schooler. I know my dad loves him some special team specialists. That
Yeah.
long hair. So I think at this point, Dad, we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I think we're still quite under, like way under.
We're at 42. We have
Okay,
we have
so
a
you got
lot.
to throw on, you got to throw on the kicker, the punter, and the long snapper. Throw on those guys. So that's three more.
So that's Behringer, Ryland, and Cardona.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're gonna have like that same kicker as last year. He sucks so bad, Ryland.
I know.
So that's 45.
Yep.
And then
45.
we still got so many people, Dad. There's plenty of people to make happy. I guess
So that's how you know, though, Matt. Sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off. That's how you know our roster sucks,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Is that
you're right. Yeah.
we pick these guys, and now we're gonna go back and pick guys that we did not want on the team going through it the first time. So let's go back, I guess, to the offense, and now we can throw in our surprise players and talk about them as well. If you can put the offensive graph up.
Yeah, real quick, and before we get into that, garbage. I don't mean this disrespectfully to Drew, but from your perspective, is always going to be known as the QB that was there before Brady took over. Do you have fond memories of Drew Bledsoe? Do you have fond memories of
I'm,
Drew, Brad, your dad?
I was just as excited when we drafted Bledsoe as I am about Drake May. Like that was he was a can't miss quarterback, and Drew was talented. He did get us to a Super Bowl. He had this one of the most epic battles with Dan Marino in the first game of the year that you've ever seen. So, but the problem was he never adapted to reading the defense. He's one of those guys that he had to see the wide receiver open, and then he uses his cannon arm to get it to him. He could never project, okay, this wide receiver is not open now, but he's passing through the zone where there's a defensive guy. And if I throw it in this spot beyond that defensive guy, that receiver is going to run into it, into this pocket. He's not a quarterback that could ever do that. So the league figured him out. They were able to get him pressure up the middle and just take away the throws he liked to do. And he just would get hammered constantly. So he just, never became that elite quarterback. But,
no
the
hard
dude got us
feelings
to a
at
Super
all, right?
Bowl.
Yeah,
he got us to a Super Bowl and he got us some winning seasons. So, I mean, he was the number one overall pick. You'd hope that you win a championship with a guy like that. We didn't. So he wasn't a disaster. Not like he was Jamarcus Russell or some, Jeff George, some awful bum like that. So I have fond memories of Bledsoe. Absolutely, Jeff.
No, 100%. I wonder like which quarterback I think would be a similar thing. And also I think Drew had a big part in what Brady became, and the amount of grace he handled that with. I know he was getting paid crazy money, right? So he is of course drinking wine in California. So I mean, I don't think he's mad about it. So super thankful for Drew. All right, so we want to go back to the offense, I guess, for a little bit.
Let's go back to the offense. Yep.
All right.
So one of my surprise guys is going to be Tyrone Wheatley. That's a guy scouted when they picked him up last year. For some reason, they gave Ridian Lowe a majority of the snaps when I thought Lowe had some better technique in the film I watched, but Tyrone Wheatley had amazing feet. Like his feet were terrific. So I'm hoping, this offseason he worked on his technique a little bit, because I saw a lot of promise, and with them desperate for tackles, like good tackles, he's one of my two surprise guys who might make the team and end up a starter over Caden Wallace. Okay. Because if they are determined to make Michael Wenu a guard, which they might be doing, which I'm not a fan of, they paid him $20 million, like put that damn guy at a tackle spot. But from what I understand, they put him at guard in like the OTAs. So if they're determined to get somebody a tackle, like at right tackle instead of him, if Caden Wallace isn't ready, which I am not a fan of Caden Wallace, I didn't think it was justified of a third-round pick, it might be Tyrone Wheatley who could be the guy. So he's one of my sneaky guys.
So, all right. So here's my sneaky guy. And I think Tyrone, makes a lot of sense. And I think we had a lot of hope for him. And we thought that he was going to be the key or the recipe to solve our offensive line problems, at least part of it with Verdi and Lowe at the start of last season. And
they never gave him a chance.
They did definitely not give him a shot. So here's my guy, Dad. And this is going to make you laugh probably. But I think in the same exact thing, this player is going to make the team. And I think he's actually going to make a solid impact and surprise everybody. This player is Tyquan Thornton. I think the fact that we have now given Tyquan Thornton somebody who can get air under the ball and get the ball to him, because I think Mac Jones, there was a lot to be, a lot of credit and a lot of evidence that he couldn't make the deep ball. And now that we have Drake May, Tyquan Thornton, a burner on the outside, might actually break through and maybe have a couple, 50, 60-yard touchdowns this season. So we just got to protect him. Right. How crazy is that? Does it make a little bit of sense?
I mean, and from what I guess I understand, he put some muscle on. Whether that helps with his fragile frame that seems to get injured all the time, I don't know. Hopefully it does. I can't imagine a little muscle wouldn't hurt. So Yeah, it'd be nice because he's got world-class speed. He's got elite speed. Jacoby Brissett, he's got a pretty good arm too if Drake May is not in there. So, I mean, it's not a bad sleeper. It's, if he comes into camp, he's got all the experience on it. What's his fourth year? Like, I mean, he doesn't have much time left. So it's not a bad sleeper pick. So you're putting him on the roster, I take it. Okay.
Yep. Putting him on the roster. And I mean, so I have something I have to leave around 9 o'clock for. So I sent Jeff Unknown the link. So let's see if he joins voice chat with us. And Jeff won't have a camera. He will remain unknown for at least that part of it. Just like myself.
Well, I do want to give my surprise defensive player.
Oh yeah, yeah, and so just just for clarity, my surprise defensive player was Joshua Bledsoe. I think he was going to be my guy who's going to bring him on. Go ahead, Dad. What do you got for your defensive player?
It was the cornerback. It was the Andrews guy.
Yes. Yep.
So
I agree.
I feel like he popped at times last year, and he's young. Hopefully, the momentum he gained with some solid play at the end of last year when the team was just in shambles, hopefully he worked all offseason to improve on that. And, hopefully the Patriots were in his ear going, hey, you have a spot here. You have a chance to play. Like, hit the weight room, hit the film room, work on your footwork, work on your speed, all that stuff. So he's my potential surprise guy at cornerback.
All right, and so I think that's pretty much all of our Patriot stuff. So we have Jeff Unknown in the waiting room. We can't hear you just right now, Jeff. We're going to add you to the call. He's going to be a JU. Let's see if I can put my dad up big. Hey, Jeff. How's it going, man?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. First off,
special guest appearance. I love it.
Yeah. First off, thanks for breaking the ice in doing this. We've, of course, never done this before, and we sincerely appreciate all your content you've added. So it makes complete sense to get you on here and at least talk to you in person, give you a chance to add some voice content to all the chat content you provide.
Well, I appreciate it very much.
So I guess, Jeff, you're a Celtics and Bruins guy, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I think we'll start off with the softball. And I think the thing that everybody wants to cheer about right now, and that is that Sam Hauser has now been signed for a 4-year, $45 million contract. Is that correct, Ed?
Yes.
All right. So Jeff, number one, you're aware of that, right? Because I wasn't aware of that until about 4 hours ago. Were you aware of that?
I just saw that on the internet not too long ago. I think that's breaking news still, right? Like within the last 10 hours.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Tatum.
Absolutely.
Jason Tatum. He came out and said, "Yeah, champ." He retweeted Woj. What's your kind of instant reaction, Jeff, to Sam Hauser being a Celtic, at least, by contract for the next 4 years?
I'm happy about it. That's a lot of money, but it's I think that's reasonable. 45 million is a reasonable amount.
Yeah. Yeah, especially
you have to keep in mind, guys, with
what
the second apron, that's more like a $120 million contract.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we now have an additional $210 million luxury tax penalty. We are the highest in the league. And of course, we are over the second apron. And now the important thing is that is not my money. That is not Jeff's or the Old Bulls. So I don't mind. And we can't add, right? So the only other option was for the end of the next year to not add anybody or spend a lot of money on Sam Hauser. We are so far away from being able to add financially. I don't even know how many years we are until we even get close to, the apron where we can, get a mid-level exception. So, Dad, Jeff's happy about it. How do you feel about it? That 4-year, 45.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing for the Celtics but veteran minimums. No mid-level exceptions, none of that stuff. And how I feel about it, all of this is great. This is Legoland. Everything's awesome. As long as we get an owner who's willing to flip the bill. Because I have news for everybody. And this is why, Rick Grossback, I've been doing nothing but singing his praises. He kind of let me down with this. Like, I hope he sticks around for 4 years, like he said. And I hope he makes sure whoever's in here paying the bills pays those bills. Because none of this matters, guys, if we start unloading some of these contracts. and we just to get under that apron, because we're probably at a point now where we're going to need to drop 2 guys to get below the apron. So, I mean, I don't know, out of your top 7, who's the 2 you want to drop? I guess I would be Pritchard and Hauser, but if I had my way, somebody would pay the bill and would keep all these guys and just pay the damn luxury tax.
I think it goes back to what you said earlier in the season, Dad, is we have to just keep winning because somebody will pay the bill if we keep winning. If the Celtics remain the number 1 seed, on pace to set records in the regular season, when it comes to net rating and everything, someone's going to pay the bill. If they drop out in the first round next year or a second round, or, even, and honestly, if we don't win the championship next year, I guess, Jeff, is there any player that you think would be first on trouble? I know my dad said Hauser and Pritchard, but that's kind of cheaping out, Dad. I think you got to go into the starting 5. Jeff, anybody come to your mind that you're probably most concerned about if the Celtics team doesn't achieve at the level we expect it to be?
This hurts me to say.
Yeah,
absolutely love
it's a painful question.
I think Porzingis is so injury prone. I think that's a concern. I mean, he's so important, but I worry about, I know he was a complete warrior and he battled in the playoffs and he came back obviously in a lot of pain. So, I mean, he has every right. He's earned his spot. But I guess at the start of the playoffs, one of the things that Old Bull said that filled me with confidence was how healthy the team was going into the championship round. And then, Porzingis was one of the only ones that really got hurt and had to come out. And he was such a key piece to be pulled out of the game. It's unpopular opinion, I know, but he's the one.
Yeah.
It makes sense,
so he's your
Jeff.
most likely
You're
cap
absolutely
casualty.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't want to get rid of him. They don't call him the unicorn for nothing. That dude is special. The whole team is different. It's just, I mean, we probably only lose 1 game if he's healthy for the whole playoffs. We had that one fluke game where Porzingis played where those Miami bums just shot like 60% from 3, like a complete joke, like of a fluke. Yeah. Otherwise, we don't lose another game, with him. But you're right. The dude has trouble staying on the floor. Oh, man, but when he plays, that dude is magical. It's like, I get it. But Jeff, let me ask you, do you feel another owner coming in and looking at tax bills every year of $200 to $400 million and being like, I'm good with that. Like, let me pay that. I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
I got to put an asterisk on that question. Don't fall into the negativity that is the Old Bull, Jeff. You tell him right now that there's billionaires out there. You answer that question, but don't fall into the negativity. We got enough of that. Go ahead.
I mean, I think there would be somebody who'd be interested. I mean, you have a team that has won more championships than anyone else. If I'm remembering that correct, they just went past the Lakers with that win, right? So, that's arguably the best team ever in the NBA. And I think you'd have there are people out there with stupid amounts of money. And if I was one of those people, I would absolutely buy the Celtics in a heartbeat if I was financially able. And I wouldn't care what I had to pay just to own a piece of history, to own a piece of greatness. I know it sounds really cheesy, but I mean, can you imagine being able to tell people you own the Boston Celtics? I mean, that's huge.
No, Jeff, that's a great point. But I should have probably prefaced the question a little differently. Definitely they're going to get somebody to buy this team. It's probably going to cost about $5 billion. What I want to know is, the new woman bought the team. Yep. They got the team. And then they get that tax bill. Like, wait a minute. I'm paying $400 million, and this is not even going to players. This is just because our players are overpaid. And then he's told, well, if you get rid of 1 or 2 players, that's going to come down to about $150 million. Yeah. Does that guy go, let's do it all about the championships? I don't know. I hope so.
Listen. So Jeff, you don't even Dad, you are just like my dad can't comprehend the amount of money these guys have. This is, like Jeff said, this is something where like these guys are like standing on top of their private jets that's floating on a private yacht,
Like
and
Scrimmage McDuck.
they're just having like a huge pissing contest with all the other billionaires and just say, I own the Celtics. They don't say, oh, well, I lost 50 million owning the Celtics last year. They say, I own the most storied NBA franchise. Like this, like look at Ballmer in, LA and the Clippers. He's doing crazy things. So we got Tim in the chat. Buying the Celtics would pay itself off in not that long, even having to pay the luxury tax. Wick shares less than 2% if I'm led to believe correctly. And yeah, I think Wick's dad has the lion's share of that. So don't you worry, Dad. Someone's going to come in here. It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise what they're walking into. You know what I think they know they're walking into is a $70-something billion TV deal. And again, the most storied franchise in NBA history. We're going to be okay.
Yep.
We're definitely going to be okay.
You're both right. I hope you're both right.
Yeah.
I hope Tim's right. I hope you're all right. I'm
Yeah.
not rooting for this. I'm just, being the adult in the room and living in the real world and not fantasy land. I'm hoping you guys are right and I'm wrong. I'm hoping the old bull eats crow on this. So
you're being the Felger in the room. You're being the Felger in the room. You're playing both sides, so you can come out on top. You know what? That's what you're doing. You're hedging. That's all you're doing. The Felger in the room.
You're getting a fresh one. I don't care if I can't see your face. Let's have a Bruins minute really quick. Yeah. Guys.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Any more concern with Swayman?
No, none.
Still
and
no.
You know what? My thinking is, look how long it took for Pasta to re-sign. Wasn't that like September or something that he finally?
That's a good point.
He finally came around.
McAvoy too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
all right.
The bottom line, Swayman wants to be in Boston, and I think the only other team that I've heard him wanting to go to was when he was being drafted. I think he wanted to be signed by the Maple Leafs. I have no idea why, but he wanted to join Toronto. But the difference is, I don't know if it's the same thing down in the U.S., but players they get taxed on what they make. So if you want to pay a player, say like $8 million, you've actually got to pay, say, 11 million. I don't know the numbers specifically, so it's not really appealing for people to necessarily come up to play in Canada because of what they'll be taxed on what they make. So I think Swayman's happy in Boston.
Yeah, and I think I got to give some credit to Tim. I got Tim here, right? Tim said there's a chance that we might let's say Swayman wants more than 8.5. Maybe we give him 8.5 this year. Say this is all we can give you, or around that. And then it escalates in coming years to keep him around because, like Jeff said, you got to have Swayman. If you don't have Swayman, I think this offseason was filled with oversight and just a lack of planning. I think Swayman's going to be here. I think my number's gone down. Jeff has calmed me down, so I think I'm good there.
Yeah. I mean, you can't offer him 100% of your salary cap. What's left? You have to have a little bit left. You just have to. You can't. Other new moves are going to need to be. Players are going to go down. You're going to have to, not bring in significant free agents, but you have to have a little bit of wiggle room. You just do.
What?
So, I mean, hopefully you guys are right. My panic level is still low. It's not high, but I'm just still a little concerned. But anyway, Tim.
Tim,
you cut it out with the Felger stuff as well. All right.
No, I don't want
comparison to him. Yeah. I don't know if you could type out what Felger's take was. Do it. But guys, some good news on the Bruins. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Lysel's getting some real buzz. Like so I'm hoping this is coming from the Bruins, and they're going to give that kid a legit shot. I read multiple NHL articles. He's on, those lists where potential breakout players coming from the minors. So, God, do we need that? Like we needed, Pashas last year. We needed some first line center good news. So, hopefully this is real. Hopefully it's even getting leaked by the Bruins. And that means they're going to give that kid a legit shot and not just, hound him when he has an occasional brain fart in the defensive zone or in the neutral zone. So we'll see about that.
So how do you feel about Lysel? I mean, do you have any thought? I don't know if we've ever heard Jeff's thoughts on Lysel. He is 100% what we need to trade. He is 100% set that we need to trade Swayman. That's what Tim's saying about Felger. Yeah. I think we touched on that really quickly. Sorry, Jeff, to interrupt you. We touched on that quickly last week, is like maybe packaging Swayman for a top 6 forward. My dad had this imaginary player that doesn't exist that he said that he wants to trade Swayman for.
Oh, no, I would want a boatload for Swayman, not Omar. Swayman, I want a boatload. I want a lot. But anyway.
Yeah, but it's, so we'll see. I think Felger just blows stuff out of his butt. So yeah, go ahead, Jeff. What's your take on Lysel? I know that he's kind of been this white whale for Bruins fans for a while in that farm system.
I think there's always reason to get excited. I'm sorry, I don't have much of a take on it, but
yeah.
I mean, he's like was a Finnish. He's a Finnish player. I mean, Swedish player. They live and breathe, hockey. I think he's a little bit of a brat, but I think sometimes brats can be the best players. At least if, especially in that kind of scoring diva role, like the wide receiver brats are probably the best. And if he can be a bit of diva, that's fine as long as he can score some goals.
Right. He does the same stuff that Pasta does. Like he's not great in his defensive zone. He's not like a great back checker. And but I get it. Pasta's like proven himself as a goal scorer, but Pasta's not much different. Lysol has the same problems that Pasta does. They need to give a kid a chance and see if he can become an elite scorer like Pasta. That's what they need to do.
I'll take a diva that can score any day. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like just score. I don't care. I would have loved to keep Sagan. I wish we would have tried a bit harder to keep Sagan around and not traded him for freaking what's his name, Louis Eriksson back in the day.
Don't ever get me started on that. Yeah.
So Tim, I mean, teams do need goalies, but. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we can get rid of anybody. So I'm a bit over. I do have to shoot out of here, Dad. And Dad, Jeff, any final thoughts on Bruins, Celtics? Any comments?
Yeah, Tim, if they want to give up Draisaitl for Swayman, I'm all in on that. Draisaitl, whatever. That's not happening though.
No.
You, Jeff, you?
You know what? I'd keep Swayman over Draisaitl as much as I love him.
Wow, that is a bomb.
Yeah, I agree with Tim. We need that reliable goaltending before scoring.
Jeff, if word ever get out that we had that trade on the table and the Bruins rejected it, you might have to do the show with the young Cav. I would probably just check out and retire. I would go.
Fair enough.
My brain would explode.
Yeah. Lysol. I like it, Tim. So just real quick, Lysol. Patra and Martian on the second line.
I would love that
a center,
line.
Right?
Love
Isn't
that
Lysol
line.
A center?
No, he's a wing. I would love that.
There you
line.
go.
Yeah, absolutely.
The question is do we have the coach that has the balls to do it? Because Monty does not like to go with the young guy. So I would love to see Monty. Maybe Lohrei made him a believer this postseason in Patra before he got hurt, and we start to see some, and even Witherspoon showed up big as a kind of a younger guy. So
he did. Big
season ahead. We're gonna have a long downtime of hockey, but we will dip it in when we can. I think that's kind of the podcast, and hope everybody has a good rest of the night, good rest of their week. And if Sweeney lets Swayman go, he is done. I don't know if Tim's going to go give him a karate chop. He's pretty close to Boston, but I don't know if that's a threat, Tim. That's off the record. But yeah, thanks, Tim, for tuning in. Thanks, Jeff, for jumping on. And
Jeff, thank you for